Yo guys, what is going on? This is card number 5. Today we're going to continue our top 10 series, and for this video we're going to be talking about the top 10 third basemen. So let's go ahead and get right into it, starting with some honorable mentions. The first honorable mention is going to be a card that is not even released yet. That is going to be the rookie. Anyways, I believe that is the rookie Ryan Braun. The 2007 Ryan Braun. This card can flat out hit. I will say that he hits lefties. Well, he's 99-99 versus lefties, but against righties he does have a little bit lesser contact of 73. So this isn't like the prime Miggy where he's like pretty much almost maxed out on everything. The speed's good for this card, which is nice. However, the fielding is absolutely terrible, and that is one reason I cannot put this card in the top 10. I cannot have a guy with 50 fielding and 65 reaction, 62 arm strength at third base. But nonetheless, this is a really good hitting third baseman. Another honorable mention is going to be actually a silver player, and that's going to be the third baseman Jake Lamb for the Arizona Diamondbacks. This card has been a budget beast for me in like almost every account I've had, and BR I always try to draft him. He's usually always playing up, but even if he's not playing up, 85-82 versus right-handed pitching, batting from the left-hand side is a very, very valuable asset to have in Diamond Dynasty. So you're always guaranteed to have that advantage versus righties, and that's what you're going to be facing majority of the time. Pretty much that's really it about this card. The vision, nothing else really sticks out. This guy can just hit righties, and yeah, that's why he makes at least an honorable mention for me. Another honorable mention is going to be the flashback Ryan Zimmerman. I don't think this card is really anything special at all. My main concern with this card is it doesn't hit lefties all that great. Like, if you're in the 70s, that's fine, but if you start getting into the 60s versus lefties, especially a right-handed batter, to me that becomes kind of a problem because you do have to start to platoon a little bit. However, this is a very solid card, especially against righties, and that's what you're going to be facing majority of the time. And this is a really good defensive card as well. Not one of the best defensive third basemen, but really good at 87 and fielding with 80 arm strength, 80 reaction, which is really solid. But to me, this isn't a top 10 card, but it does deserve an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is going to be Kris Bryant. Now, Kris Bryant does offer a lot of flexibility, so that does help him a little bit. He can play the outfield for you if need be. I don't recommend playing the outfield because you're going to be taking 5% deduction once you move to one of the secondary spots in the outfield. And his defense isn't great to begin with. However, this is the third baseman that just has really, really good power versus righties or lefties. With inside edge, of course, it makes everybody godly. But even with his base attributes, you're looking at 89 and 91 power versus righties and lefties, respectively. So just a really solid hitting card. And the main emphasis for this card is going to be power. I don't think this is a top 10 third baseman by any means, though, but he does get an honorable mention. Another honorable mention is going to be the flashback Pablo Sandoval. Now, I know you guys wanted to see this card for the catchers, but again, we're only sticking to primary positions. But the fact he does play catcher, he's going to at least get an honorable mention. And he's a switch hitter, and he can play first base. Definitely a good card to have your bench, or even start. His fielding isn't bad either. 74 fielding, I would say that's above average. Good arm strength at 80. So this card offers a lot of flexibility, and if you want to start him at third, it's still a good option in my opinion. Not a top 10 third baseman, but he does get an honorable mention. And our last honorable mention, I really, really wanted to find a spot for him in the top 10. However, I cannot justify it by any means. His fielding, if it was maybe a little bit better, or if his hitting versus righties would be a little bit better, I don't think they quite justified his hitting versus righties enough, in my opinion. He should be hitting a little bit better versus righties based off the year he had against right-handed pitching, based on this card's year. Anyways, he strokes lefties, and this is pretty much going to be a platoon-only card. However, platoon cards are very, very valuable in a mode like Diamond Dynasty. I just can't put a card that really only hits lefties in my top 10. Now, if he hit righties like that, he'd probably make the top 10. But this card falls just short of making the top 10 list, probably 11th on my list. Now, let's go ahead and get started with our actual top 10. Starting at number 10 on our top 10 third baseman list is going to be the new flashback Evan Longoria. This is actually released pretty recent, and this is a good balanced card. To me, it was a toss-up between Evan Longoria or David Wright making the top 10 and being in that 10 spot. However, Evan Longoria offers a little bit more balance in my opinion. Also has a little bit better fielding. So I went ahead and gave Evan Longoria the edge because this is a card, in my opinion, that you could play. It's really similar to the Nolan Arenado, actually. I give the slight edge to Arenado, of course, because I haven't mentioned him yet. But this card does rank number 10 for me. A really solid card all around. Number 9 on our list is going to be Josh Donaldson. Now, this card has a low contact versus righties, but I believe he makes up for it with his power. He also hits lefties really well, 87 contact, 88 power. Vision's not too bad, but he does come with pretty good fielding, 84 fielding, 76 arm strength, 70 reaction. Nothing too great, but I do give this card a slight edge over some of the other third basemen already mentioned. including the flashback Longoria, just because I put a little bit more value in power. But Josh Donaldson ranks number 9 on my top 10. And for my number 8 spot, I'm going to give it to rookie Albert Pujols. Now, guys, I will admit, this is when the top 10 list for third baseman really got tricky. 1 through 8, it was really close. I mean, you could almost interchange any of these guys anywhere. But Albert Pujols comes number 8 for me. And the reason I really like this card is because he's 97-95 versus righties. That's some of the best splits versus right-handed pitching at the third base spot. Now, against lefties, it's not like he's terrible either, 71-94. That's still really good. I mean, that's similar to what Josh Donaldson does versus right-handed pitching. He also comes with 82 vision. Of course, the one downside is fielding. However, I don't think it's that bad compared to some of the third basemen we already looked at. And it's not too far behind, like the Josh Donaldson and whatnot. I mean, obviously they're better, but 70 fielding is at least respectful. 66 arm strength, and 65 reaction. I mean, I think this is a really, really underrated card. I think the fact that it was released pretty much when the game launched, and it was so expensive to begin with, and by the time, the price went down, everybody had the Beltre and other cards and the ARod and whatnot. So this card, I feel like people really didn't give it a chance, but it's at a decent price now on the market. I do rank it number 8, though, on my top 10. Number 7, I got to go with the legend Mike Schmidt. Again, this is really tough, guys. If you look at the attributes alone, you might think this card would be ranked a little bit higher. His defense is phenomenal. Some of the best defense in the game, up there with the flashback Beltre and the Machado and the Brooks Robinson. However, I cannot rank him any higher because of his contact versus righties. 59 with 62 vision, and you're going to be facing righties 2/3 of the time, so you're going to have a pretty small PCI the majority of the time. And for that reason alone, I cannot put him in any higher. So I'm going to put him at number 7. Still a really good card, but I also found that last year this card had kind of a slow bat. I think it was more or less to do with his really low contact versus right-handed pitching. Number 6 on our list, and this is one of the most expensive cards in the game, is the prime flashback Mickey. To me, this is the card you really want to use at first base, but his primary is at third base, so unfortunately I have to put him in this top 10 list. He is a top 10 third baseman in my opinion, just because this card flat out strokes. That's almost maxed out in all hitting categories. But guys, I think we know the obvious reason why this can't be like a top 3 third baseman, at least in my opinion. The fielding is horrible. 50 fielding, 52 reaction. That is absolutely horrible. I mean, you might as well be playing somebody out of position at that point. 31 speed is not very good either. However, I give this, again, this was really tough, guys, because I went from Pujols, an average fielder, to Mike Schmidt, to a superb fielder, but he can't hit as good as these guys, and then Miggy, who hits everything but can't field. But I give the slight edge to Miggy over both of them, and he comes in at number 6. Number 5 on our list is going to be the 99 Yankees flashback ARod. Now, again, this ARod and the Miggy were both 99 overalls, but that doesn't necessarily make them the best third baseman, in my opinion, in the game. The good thing about this card is it hits righties really well, 97, 99. You can't really ask for much more. That does better than the other ARods in the game. His fielding it's solid, 78 fielding. The reaction's pretty bad. I still think this card has a liability on defense, and when I see people using this card at third base, I'm not afraid to sack, bunt, or try to pull the ball on the ground and challenge him a little bit, because I've seen this card make quite a few errors, but this card really hits really well. It's kind of unfortunate. It has low contact versus lefties and low vision, so I still want platoon with it because you have the advantage, seeing the ball a little bit better from lefties. However, I can't rank it any higher because it does have some serious flaws. Now we're at number 4, and again, these top 4 guys, I think they could be interchangeable. I think you can make a case for either of these final 4. Honestly, the top 5, top 6, to interchange any of these guys. But this top 4 is really difficult for me to rank them. But number 4, I gave it to Manny Machado. His defense is great. The thing that really, threw me off is his reverse splits. Now, he hits righties really well. My problem is he doesn't hit lefties very well at all. Not to say it's horrible, 71-61. I mean, that's not terrible. That's an above average hitter. But, combine that with 73 vision. This is almost the cards you have to platoon with against lefties. And I just find that to be really unfortunate. It's a good thing he does hit righties well, and he does have inside edge at the moment. Makes the card more usable. But that's why I had to stop him at number 4. He's also has some versatility, the fact that he can play shortstop if you guys don't want to spin the stubs on too low or ARod at shortstop. But I rank this card number 4. One last thing I will say about this card, it does have really good speed as well, 75 speed, which I think might be the fastest third baseman on this list. Anyways, let's move on to number 3. Number 3 on our list is going to be Nolan Arenado Live Series. Again, guys, this was really difficult for me to choose between Machado and Arenado, but I gave Arenado the slight edge because I feel like their defense pretty much was very similar. I will say that Machado does have better reaction and arm strength, but Arenado had the better fielding overall. I prefer Machado's defense by just a hair. However, I feel like Arenado is a more balanced and complete hitter. Yes, he doesn't hit righties as well when you look at contact, but he still has more power versus righties, and he hits lefties really well, and he does have more vision than Machado. And for that reason alone, I gave him a slight edge over Manny Machado, and I rank him number 3. And number 2, again, this might be controversial to some. Some of you guys may even have Chipper as one of the best players in the game or your number 1 third baseman. However, I decided to put him number 2. Guys, it's really difficult because you have some really good hitters like Pujols and the Miggy that just absolutely stroke, but they just don't have the defense. But one thing I will say about this card, if you kind of compare it to the Pujols, if you look at the attributes, Pujols, he's a higher overall. But the fact that this guy is a switch hitter, and you're going to have 90 power from the right side, and then you're going to have 84 contact and 71 power from the left side, that is really good. Plus, he comes with really good vision. Defense, again, it's kind of like Pujols. It's a little bit better than Pujols's. 71 fielding, 68 reaction, 70 arm strength, and 58 speed isn't bad either. But guys, this card is it's so valuable to have in your lineup, that switch hitter at third base. I believe defensively, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate he's not as high as some others, but you kind of have to give and take with some of these third basemen. I just believe that switch hitters in this game are just so much more valuable than anything else. So I do give him a slight edge over, Manny Machado, Arenado, and like the Pujols, Miggy. I rank this card number 2 personally. So let's go ahead and get into the number 1 third baseman. And my number 1 third baseman, in my opinion, I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I hit really well this card, and this is the top 10 list, in my opinion. So, again, I know some of you guys may disagree, but I have to go with a flashback, 98 overall, Adrian Beltre. So let's go ahead and talk about this card a little bit. For righties, he's really good against righties. I mean, 85-91, there's not much more you could ask for. Yeah, there's third basemen out there like the Pujols and the Miggy that hit a little bit better versus righties. But they're not going to get the fielding this card possesses. 92 fielding, 90 arm strength, 80 reaction. This card does not let me down. Like, he saved so many runs at third base, and I've used this card a ton all year. Yeah, I might hit a little bit better with the Miggy and the Pujols, but in the long haul, this card is going to be my most valuable third baseman, in my opinion. You could argue that the Mike Schmidt, I could use that one. However, the Mike Schmidt doesn't hit righties as well. So that's why I feel like this is the best overall third baseman, at least for a hitter and players such as myself. His one weakness, I guess, is hitting lefties, but I've personally found, guys, that when facing lefties, you have the advantage, and I believe if it's 70 or higher, you can still hit the ball pretty well. So I feel like you don't need to platoon with this card. Yeah, I wish it could be a little bit better, but guys, in my opinion, this is my top third baseman, and this is my most valuable third baseman. It's really tough because there's really good hitting third basemen that don't have defense. There's some that have defense and struggle against righties. Some that have reverse splits. But anyways, this is one of the tougher top 10 lists, guys, so far. So let me know if you guys agree or disagree. I'm sure a lot of you guys will disagree. That's fine. Again, just keep it respectful. And let me know, guys, who your top 10 third basemen are, your top 5 or your top 3 or whatever. At least give me your top 3. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you watching these videos. Hope you're enjoying them. Make sure to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And again, thanks for watching. This is Cardinal Bird 5 signing out. Peace.